What is up, everybody? Welcome to my arcanemage guide for Season 2 in Midnight. I'm glad to say that missiles are back. We do no longer orb spamming, although I like the orb spamming style, but I just didn't like the mana burn thing. So we don't have mana problems anymore. We are currently an S tier class. We are the best spec in the game so far. From the damage perspective, I think we are rank 1 everywhere, in raid and in Mythic Plus, but you know, it can change every week. So I will talk about the new talents, we will talk about the new stat priority, the new tier set, and of course the new rotation and gameplay style. If you like this video, guys, make sure to leave a like and subscribe or comment in the comment section. It would really help out pushing my channel. And yes, let's get right into it. Right, guys, let's start with the stat priority. So as Mage is always our main stat is intellect. We want to stack as much intellect as possible. So therefore, higher item level with more intellect is the better choice, regardless of the secondary stats. The secondary stats get important when maxing our character. When it comes to our secondary stats, this season our most important stat is haste and crit, then versatility and mastery. We don't need mastery that much anymore because we don't need the mana generation for this season. Gladly, mana generation last season was really, I don't know, I was not into the class anymore, but I'm glad it's gone. So we go for haste, crit, adverse. We want to be around like 900 to 1100 haste, according to the sims. And then we want to stack as much crit and verse as possible. Of course, we got a new tier set this season. Our 2 set is the following. Arcane missiles fires 1 additional missile and deals 20% increased damage. And the 4 set bonus is interesting. Each wave of arcane missiles increase the damage of your next arcane blast, arcane pulse, or prismatic bolt by 5% up to 40%. So this is a huge damage amplifier to our prismatic bolt, for example. So we want to play around that. I will show you later. When it comes to the trinkets, there are 2 new trinkets from the raid, I guess, which are now best in slot. Both are passive trinkets, so one just stacks intellect up to 6 times, like 64 on full mythic track, and the other one gives you a lot of secondary stats in various ways. But I've seen other players with a lot of unused trinkets. I think they are fine. You know, when it comes to trinkets, always seen that there will always be 1 or 2 trinkets this season that are pretty much overpowered, or maybe they will get nerfed, I don't know. But yeah, higher item level. Let's jump right into the talents. Let's talk about the new main changes for the arcanemage. We got a new spell. It is called Prismatic Bolt. And this devastates the target with overwhelming energy, dealing a huge amount of damage and also damage to other nearby enemies. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets. So, general, if you press Arcane Barrage, it has a 2% chance per stack of Arcane Salvo consumed to replace your next Arcane Blast with Prismatic Bolt. So every time you cast an Arcane Barrage with a lot of salvo stacks, you have an increased chance of proccing the Prismatic Bolt, replacing your Arcane Blast. And the gameplay for the new Arcanemage revolves around to get as much Prismatic Bolt procs as possible. So it is a little bit of luck and a little bit of adjustment needed to play this. So in rank 2, Prismatic Bolt has a 100% chance to grant clear casting and arcane missiles damage is increased by 30%. And in rank 3 increases the chance to gain Prismatic Bolt by 1% per stack of Arcane Salvo consumed. And Arcane Barrage damage is increased by 15%. So this means basically for each stack of Arcane Salvo, we have a 3% chance to get the Prismatic Bolt proc. We also have a lot of defensive talents added up to our spec, which is pretty nice. So Mage this season is pretty tanky. One of them, for example, is refractive images. So 10% of damage you would take is instead dealt over 8 seconds. So basically this is a time shift, and casting your mirror image increases this effect to 30% for 15 seconds. So your mirror images become a death cooldown again and reducing huge amounts of damage. We also get another charge of Prismatic Barrier. So Prismatic Barrier has now 2 charges, as has like the Frost Mage in the last season. And we have an additional talent in our hero tree, which is called Melee Setback. The bonus provided by your barrier spells persist 100% effectiveness for an additional 8 seconds after your barrier is removed. Really good passive talent. We have other talents in here like Glorious Incandescence or Pyrocosm and Lessons of Debilation and Spellfire Salvo, Rondomancy, Ashes of Inspiration, and of course we have Memory of Allah. So when your Arcane Phoenix expires, it empowers you, granting you Arcane Soul for 4 seconds. This is a pretty huge buff for the end of our cooldown window. So basically when it runs out, you get a free window to cast barrages, which deal a huge amount of damage. We will see that later in the rotation. Let's go over the class talent here real quickly, what I've changed so far. So we still have here our basic abilities like Arcane Missiles, Arcane Salvo, Arcane Orb, Concentrated Power, some buffs, improved clear casting. We have our Arcane Surge. We have Slipstream, so that we can cast Arcane Missiles while we are moving. We have our Arcane Familiar, Touch of the Magi. Some buffs, we play with Intuition, so upon reaching maximum stacks of Arcane Salvo, your next Arcane Barrage deals 25% increased damage. So we also have 5 stacks more, which means 5 stacks more. It's like 15% higher chance to proc a Prismatic Bolt, and that's why we want to play with Intuition. Yeah. We have here Aegwyn's Technique, casting Touch of the Magi grants clear casting. Impetus, Arcane Blast generates an additional Arcane Charge. So, and this row here stays pretty much the same all the time. We play with high voltage, so each wave of Arcane Missiles has a 50% chance to grant you 1 Arcane Charge, and Arcane Missiles damage is increased by 20%. As we cast a lot of missiles this time, they are back, and we do not just press the orb like it's in the last season. We also play with overpowered missiles, so gaining clear casting has a 25% chance to cause the next Arcane Missiles to be overpowered, which is huge, and it deals 100% more damage, and you get to the maximum stacks of your Arcane Salvo instantly. We also have Orb Barrage, so Arcane Barrage has a 4% chance per stack of Arcane Salvo to launch an Arcane Orb in front of you at 100% effectiveness. So this is basically the talent tree, on the talents with defensives. So the new spec is all about getting and fishing as much Prismatic Bolt procs as possible. And this is actually the most important part of the new Arcane Mage. And there's also something that I actually got wrong at first. I kept building all the way up to 25 stacks of the Intuition, just to trigger the effect that makes Arcane Barrage hit 25% harder, but that's not actually the priority. The real priority is proccing Prismatic Bolt, which is why you want to cast Arcane Barrage once you're at 12 or more Arcane charges. Not necessarily waiting for the full 25 stacks. That is a very important distinction to understand. So at first, I just pressed all my abilities until I got to 25 charges. Then I pressed the Arcane Barrage and realized I did not get a proc either, because if maxed out, if my math is correctly, we have a 75% chance with 25 stacks of proccing the Prismatic Bolt. But when we do it at 12, I think we have 36% chance to proc a Prismatic Bolt, and we cast Arcane Barrage a lot more often. So it is more worth it, I think, that we have the chance to get the most amounts of prismatic bolt procs in our cooldown window. Of course, it can happen that you will not get any prismatic procs in your cooldown window or in your opener. That's sad, but that is the spec right now. But regardless of the luck, it's one of the, I think it's the best DPS right now. So you're very strong, you have very good AoE, you have very good single target damage. And I would say we go just right into the first rotation. Alright, let's start with the opener. If the tank gathers, we can do some damage using Arcane Explosion and building our Arcane stacks. For the start of the pull, we want to start with 4 Arcane charges ideally. We also press Orb once, so it's on cooldown. We normally don't press it anymore. And we can do our Arcane Blast. If you get lucky and you get a proc, so a clear casting proc from your Arcane Blast, you will use your Arcane Missiles, because then you get a lot more salvo stacks than 3, like between 10 and 20, depends how many targets you hit. And then you can start your cooldown window with already above 12 stacks, and you can instantly shoot a barrage and you have one more chance to proc a prismatic bolt. So let me show you. So we send our orb, we can Arcane Blast, for example, if our tank gathers to get. Now we have a clear casting proc, we can use that. Now we have an ideal setup with already 25 stacks of Arcane Salvo. This is pretty much ideal, not necessary, but it's ideal because now we have a higher chance to proc our prismatic bolt when we are in our cooldown window. So we will place our mirror images here if we know we get a lot of damage, and we go into our cooldown window. Now we have a prismatic bolt proc. As you can see, we use missiles, we have barrage, we have one proc again. We use our barrage here. We accidentally threw that at 10 stacks, but it's fine. And now we enter our Arcane Soul window, where we want to spam our Arcane barrages that are available during this window. On a normal timing, you will have 5, and with Bloodlust, you will have 6 available. So as you can see, it evolves. The spec right now evolves a lot of just fishing for procs in general. So now we have our Patch of the Magi back again. We can go in. And if we have nothing left, we press Arcane Blast. So this was the general rotation. It is a lot of reactive gameplay. It is not an easy spec to play. Let's say it the other way. It is quite easy to start, but it takes a lot to master. So reacting accordingly to your procs is your most important thing. The most important part of playing the Sunfury Arcanemage. I think Spellslinger is not that complicated that season, but I do not know if the damage output is as high. Everybody's playing Sunfury, and in the logs I also see just Sunfury. So Sunfury will be on the top, and it really evolves around getting the Prismatic Bolt procs for doing the most amount of damage. But I mean, it's a guaranteed chance of always 36%. So when you press it at 12 or more charges, so you should be fine over the whole dungeon. Even when you get no proc on one pull, you will get 5 procs in the next pull. And yeah, that is the basic gameplay for Arcane. So now I will do the full run through with no commentary, and you can check out what spells I'm casting, and we can recap it in the comments. Alright, if we check out what the most damage does, we can see Arcane Missiles is definitely place 1 in this season, so missiles are back. I'm glad. I love playing missiles. The next one is Arcane Mirage, and 10% comes from a Prismatic Bolt, and 7.4% just from our Meteorite. That's crazy. I don't know why Prismatic Bolt is twice here. Maybe it's 60% in total. I don't know. Should be bugged, but that's the gameplay in general. So that was it for today's guide, guys. I hope you like it. You know, if I did any mistakes or got anything wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'm happy to respond to everyone or correct what I was saying wrong. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all enjoyed the guide. I hope you all got a little bit of value of it. I hope so. That's why I do these videos mainly. And of course, I like playing World of Warcraft. But yeah, I hope you guys have fun with the new spec, and I wish you a very good start in the season. Cheers!